Welcome to In the Groove. This is Joseph Timmons with Xombiewoof Magazine. In the Groove is our weekly series of podcasts where we interview the artists you want to hear and know more about. And today we have Alastair Greene. Alastair Greene will talk with us about his new album, Trouble at Your Door, about his group, what he's doing, where he's been, and where he's going next. So I would like to introduce Alastair Greene. Alastair, the fans, Alastair.
What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Pretty good, and thanks for taking this time. I know you're getting ready for a big weekend ahead of you with the NAMM convention coming up, as well as everything else that's going on in your life. I mean, just looking at what you have on your website, as well as your posts on Facebook, you are really doing a lot of stuff right now. And actually, you've just played Santa Barbara several times.
I live in the Santa Barbara, Ventura area, so we try and, if we're not out, touring and stuff like that, we try and, keep our chops up and play around town as much as we can.
Well, I mean, and you're also, one thing you were doing, you were working with Alan Parsons' project, or Alan Parsons recently. I mean, between that and your own tours, I mean, when are you finding time to sleep?
That's a good question. Well, I've been playing with Alan for about 5 years, and the last couple of years have been pretty busy. And, in between going and doing stuff with him, my band is trying to stay busy as well. So, that's the name of the game, is trying to play as much as possible.
Well, just to, bring this up to our fans, I mean, some of them, or should I say most of them, will probably know who you are. But just for those of you that are tuning into our podcast now, he's played with Alan Parsons, Eric Burden, Godfrey Townsend, Kip Winger, Little Johnny Lawton, Seymour Duncan, right in Santa Barbara, Seymour Duncan, and Slash. I mean, he's played with a lot of big names, and I mean, the list is just too long to mention. But I really want to hear more about Trouble at Your Door. I mean, you just signed with Electro Groove Records, correct?
Yeah, Eclectic Groove's part of the Delta Groove family. Delta Groove's kind of one of the last big 3 or 4 blues labels right now, and Eclectic Groove is their label that kind of has all the non-traditional blues artists that they sign on it. So we're very pleased, man. We're happy that we got a deal with them, and CD came out about 6 months ago, and it's been getting a lot of good, favorable reviews and radio play. So we're very happy with that.
Now, what we do with the In-Group podcast is I like to, interject the music in clips. I mean, before you came on, I'm playing in Trouble at Your Door. I'm just having trouble talking today. First, the computer's giving me problems. Now my tongue's giving me problems. My brain will go there. We started off with Trouble at Your Door, and then after we're going to lead into People and play some of Red Wine Woman and Sweetest Honey. And I mean, listening to your music, it's, very, very old school blues, but it's got a lot of, modern takes on the way you're playing it and what you're doing. And I mean, what was the inspiration for a lot of this album? I mean, the title Trouble at Your Door, I mean, that's like a harbinger of doom right there. I mean, don't open it. Don't open it.
Yeah, well, you got to find a strong name for an album, and so I was actually with Randy Chorkoff, who's the president of the label. We were kind of going down the names of the songs, like what would be a good name for the record, and we were both like, man, Trouble at Your Door, that's a great name for the record. So that was kind of the obvious choice. As far as, musically, what we're going for is I grew up on a lot of hard rock, and then I got into traditional blues kind of through the way a lot of, I think, people do, is you find a band that you really dig, whether it's Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones or whoever it is, and if you're interested in where that music came from, you start doing some research and you start reading interviews and reading, the record credits and stuff like that, and whatnot. And so I just got really into blues, but I also wanted to kind of maintain my rock identity, because that's really, trying to be true to myself. I do have, rock and roll roots, and so we've always kind of tried to sort of walk that line between being authentic as far as blues musicians and a blues band goes, but we also want to be true to that part of ourselves that does love early ZZ Top or loves Cream or Jimi Hendrix or Led Zeppelin. So we're really trying to pay tribute to the blues roots and the masters and the guys and gals that invented this music, but we also want to maintain kind of a high energy, kind of like a high rock energy level with the music as well. So it's nothing new. I mean, bands have been doing this, since the late '60s and early '70s. It just doesn't seem like there's as many these days that are kind of trying to do that. So we're trying to carry that flag the best that we can.
Very cool. Now, looking at some of the information I've gathered, I'm getting my dossier ready to quiz you on. Just looking at the information I got together, I mean, this group, you've gone through many different changes in the past, from what I understand. But your new group, I mean, your drummer, Austin Bede, and, tell us about the members of the group. I mean, what's it like working with this group and putting out this album, and how did it gel? What was it like in the studio?
Well, Austin, it's actually pronounced Beatty. I just wanted to go on the record. But Austin, we used to tour with a band whose name is escaping me at the moment. That was a big touring band that toured a lot. And he grew up in Santa Barbara, and when he moved home, after I think the band broke up, or he and a couple guys left, he came home, and I knew he was a great drummer. I'd played with him before a long time ago. In a cover band once for just a few gigs. And, when you're playing a lot and you're playing with what are referred to as working musicians, sometimes it's hard to get a consistent lineup together. And I'd always kind of had a hard time keeping a consistent lineup just because everybody's gigging all the time and you can't get the same guys for every gig all the time, which is fine. That's, everyone's got to, make a living. But I really think if you're going to try to get a sound together and really get a band unit, you really want to play with the same guys as much as possible. So he was available, and we started playing a lot. And then Jim Rankin, the bass player, he's been playing with me for 6 or 7 years, and he's got a lot of classic rock knowledge. That guy knows so many songs, and he's a really good singer, a really good bass player. Also plays great acoustic guitar. So we started playing a lot of shows, when we got Austin in, and it just really felt right, and we wanted to get into the studio. And about the time that we started demoing songs, I started talking with a couple different labels, and eventually we got to the point where, Eclectic Groove wanted to put out the record. And we recorded the record actually at a fairly new studio. My friend Sean McHugh, who's been around the Santa Barbara area for years, he was in a band called Summer Camp for a long time that was on Madonna's Maverick label back in the late 90s. But he just kind of finished building this home studio in the Santa Barbara area, and he's got a big room where we could all set up in, and we could put the amps in the room, and we really just played everything pretty live. There's not a lot of overdubs on the record, and seeing as how we've been playing so many gigs and we've been playing together so much, it really came together quite easily in the studio. I think we did basic tracks with all three of us in the room recording. We, recorded, I think, 15 songs in 2 days, and then I went back in and sang on everything, and, added a couple guitars here, fixed a couple things. The song Red Wine Woman, actually, that's live. That's just guitar and vocals at the same time. So it was quick, it was painless, and we had a really good time doing it. Recording can be kind of a nerve-wracking process sometimes, but like I said, if you've been playing with the same guys and been gigging a lot and stuff, it makes it a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable.
Well, I mean, when listening to music, you can hear there's a lot of power, a lot of emotion. It's not like raw or unfinished, but it's also, you can tell there's not a lot of like overdubbing. And forgive me if I'm trying to simplify things too much, but it sounds like you're right in the room with you. I mean, it's almost like you're playing for an audience
absolutely.
of one. And I think that's one of the fabulous things about the music I've heard so far is it's very personal. It's some of the songs that actually struck a chord with me, like, oh, I've been there, oh, I felt that. So you're actually, developing a kinship with your fans, and I think that more artists need to do that. So just to keep the kinship going, where are you going to be playing next? I mean, obviously it's a podcast, it's going to be recorded, and people might hear it after the fact, but where's the progression taking you? Are you going to be doing a national tour, or keeping it local, or playing select cities?
Yeah, playing with Alan, that takes me all over the world, and so we've got a short tour coming up next week. We're going to be going to the East Coast for a few shows. In February, we're doing, I think, a one-off in Tel Aviv, Israel, and then in March, we're going to spend most of March on the road. We're going to be in Canada, and then I think we're playing like a show apiece in England, Switzerland, and Germany, and then we're going to do a few shows in Italy, so that'll take all of 3 weeks in March with Alan Parsons. And then with my band, we just signed to a new booking agency, the Tina Terry agency. Tina used to work for another agency and just struck out on her own. She used to be Joni Winter's agent. And so we're hoping to get our band out there, you know, obviously playing as much as possible in between tours with Alan. And you know, we would definitely like to take this on the road, play more of the United States, see if we can get over to Europe where, you know, this kind of music seems to be alive and well, and, you know, just keep trying to raise the bar for ourselves.
Well, Alastair, I want to say thank you once again for doing this podcast with us and this interview. I know it's short notice. You really put us through our paces here, because, I mean, there's just so much to talk about, but I got to keep it under a certain amount of time because your time's important, and most people, you know, they're like, all right, I want to hear the music. I want to stop listening to you. So I think I have a great voice. Other people, not so much. So you want to go tell our fans where they can find your music, website, we're on Amazon. Just give us the lowdown. Where can we find you?
Okay, well, yeah, my website, I've got a few different addresses, but they all point to the same thing. If you can spell my name, it's alastairgreene.com. If that is a daunting challenge, you can type in agsongs.com. So my initials in the word songs, agsongs.com, will get you to my website. Our CD's available on Amazon, on iTunes, all through our record label, and we've got all of our social media stuff pumping all the time also. So I encourage people to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and we got some good live videos up on our YouTube channel. So we're out there, and pretty easy to find. If you get to the website, we've got links to all that stuff from there.
And if you go to our website, Xombiewoof.com, that's spelled with an X, XOMBIEWOOF.com, named after Frank Zappa. You can find Alastair's websites. We'll have all the links up there, as well as links to his music, where you can hear him and where you can buy his tracks. Get out to the show. I know it's just so tempting to download the MP3 and sit home and eat potato chips. I do it all the time. But get out to the show. Support your local artists. Support artists like Alastair, and, you know, make music live in your life. So Alastair from Xombiewoof Magazine, again, thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you at NAMM. We will be doing coverage from NAMM live through our Mixcloud, Spreecast, through our website, our blog. We will be all over the place. You can't miss us, no matter where you throw a rock, and it'll probably hit me in the head. So from Xombiewoof Magazine, thank you very much, and